We are a community of DevOps and security professionals who are passionate about developer and team productivity. Through our network, we promote DevOps and security practices for product engineering as an efficient method to keep pace with constantly shifting demands. Need of market is to have shorter, more frequent delivery cycles for software solutions that are secure and reliable. Our network promotes growth of members through of DevOps professionals through mentoring, job opportunities, and collaborative learning to stay ahead.
Hi everyone, welcome to this webinar session on how to manage code smartly. So this is nothing but we're going to give overview of some tool which can increase the developer productivity by using and managing the code smartly. So what is this tool we are going to discuss? So this is simply a tool of version control system and specific to Git. So these are the topics we are going to discuss in this. What is version control system? Why it came? What is the need of that? What are different types of version control system? Then specific to decentralized version control system or distributed version control system. The tool we are going to present here is Git. What is the advantages of that? What are the different terminologies? Basic workflow of Git. How to set up Git. How to set up GitLab configuration for remote repository maintenance. Git lifecycle, Git file system related to Git, that is tracked and untracked files, few basic commands and some Git concepts. So why version control system comes into picture? So these are real challenges which day-to-day life developers are facing if they are not using any version control system. So these are few points I have gathered here, which is the real challenge. If you work in a project where all the team members or developers working on a shared repository, that is in a server, we have created a server where we have created few folders or one project or multiple projects, and we shared that folder, and everybody is working on that share folder basis. So the first problem or real challenge is collaboration. What does it mean? If a developer works on a file of that project which is shared with other team members, and another team member wants to change on the same file, then he or she can visible that file in read only mode. So he or she cannot edit that file unless developer 1 finish his or her work. So it is unnecessarily blocking other members. So it is directly impacting the collaboration. Then comes the storing versions. Storing versions means how you are going to store your different versions of your code when you are regularly progressing on the project. So it is very tedious that if a person will organize any Excel sheet or Word document or something like that to track each and every version of your releases and what are the changes. So the question is, how much do you save? Means when somebody works and some file has been changed and the next developer picks that code, he or she is not able to identify what are the changes has done by the developer one. So it is very tedious to track, and he or she needs to go to that document and see each and every line of that document. Then only he or she can get what are the different changes has been done in the sorting version, in the storing version. How do you name these versions? So there should be some standard you need to maintain, or if a person is very much organized, then he or she can store those versions properly. Otherwise, it will be difficult to maintain all these. Then third thing is how do you know what exactly is different in these versions? As I mentioned, it is very difficult to track those documents, that what is the specific version specifies and what is exactly the change. Then the third challenge comes, restoring previous versions. If somebody wants to go back to the previous version for some production issue or some critical bug fixing, then it is very tedious to restore. Understanding what happened. Every time you need to go into the version system document, and then only you can see what are the changes has been happened. Then a backup system, that is, every developer has to take the backup of their in their local system of that uh, uh, shared folder repository to work in parallel. But at the meantime, it will be difficult to merge those changes codes. So what they will do, suppose developer one has done some changes and that is pushed to the uh, central repository, or you can say that the final project. So developer 2 will take the backup and he will store it in the in its local machine with a some naming on nomenclature. Again, developer 3 will take the backup of developer 2 and some naming convention. So it is tedious to maintain all this backup, and it will unnecessarily heavy your server as well as your local system. So to avoid all these things, this comes a version control system. So this is nothing but just a software that helps software developer to work together and maintain a complete history of their work. If he or she wants to track, anybody of the team or management want to track what are the histories which has done what changes on which commit, which version, which tagging, everything can be tracked using version control system, and it is not a headache of any individual entity or individual member. It is simply that server which is taking care of all those things. By simply executing few commands, you can able to track all these things. So what are the functions? So allow developers to work simultaneously, doesn't allow overwriting each other's changes. Developer 1, developer 2 cannot change or overwrite only their fixes. You have to have you have some mechanism like merging, and also you need to resolve the conflict before merging into the parent project. Maintains a history of every versions. So you have specific commands available. You can write or execute those commands. You can see the history of whole the code what we have prepared. So what are the different types of version control system? There are two types: central version control system, that is centralized version control system, and distributed or decentralized version control system. So let's see what is the difference. So centralized version control system has a central server to store all the files and enables team collaboration. What developers will do, if they are going to use central version control system, they will have a working copy of the central server project, and they can do their update, change, whatever they want to do, and then that same thing will be pushed into the remote repository. But the only drawback is, if a single point of failure happens, like if your central server unfortunately got failed or that server goes down, then all the developers cannot work collaboratively at that time, because it is completely dependent on your network, the internet connectivity with the central server system. And in the worst case, if your hard disk got corrupted of that server, so it is total total gone your the history of that project. So for that, to reduce and to with as a advanced system, So we came as distributed version control system. So what is that? Here the concept is same. The only difference is everybody has the working repository is mirror or replica of the central repository, and they can work in offline mode. Whatever the changes, update, or creating branch, everything can be done their local machine during only the time of uh, pushing your local code to the remote repository. We need the internet connectivity. So there are two stages where only the online mode is required, that is push and pull. Push is from your local changes to remote repository. At that time you need the internet connectivity. And during replica, collect the replica or take the latest changes from remote repository to local repository, you need the pull mechanism. Except that everything can be done in offline mode, that is the developer or team members can work on their local machine, and after their work is done, then only they can push the code to the remote repository. So this is more value addition and this is more user friendly distributed version control system. So there are different tools available. So here we are going to discuss Git. So this is just a pictorial view of difference, what is central version and decentralized version control system. Subversion is a tool of centralized version control system. Git we are taking reference for distributed version control system. Here you can see every task, every thing like creating branch, revert, log, merge, everything is done central repository in case of subversion, and there we need internet connectivity. But in Git we don't need. Every operation can be done in local repository. So what are the advantages? We have discussed a lot of things here already. So this is just a highlight, that is Git is free and open source. You don't have to pay any money for that to use it. So it is open source, so you can use it uh, without paying any single pay. This is fast and small. What is fast? Because everyone is working in their local machine. So whatever the changes you are doing, so it is fast. It is, and every small changes you can do it in the local repository. And also the Git code is written in C, so it is also um, uh, it it, uh, it avoids runtime overheads associated with other high-level languages. Implicit backup is like Git is already taking care of all these backup mechanism. So, and also every developer has their local backup of the central repository, that is the mirror image, or you can say that the complete replica. So if something goes wrong with your central server, any team member can push their code to the central server and you can get as it is the complete project recovered. Security. So we have SHA-1 algorithm, which is creating the commit IDs. So this is very secure. So whatever the file change, delete, everything can be tracked through Git. So it is very difficult to, nobody can delete unless they have that credential. And you can easily track as well that. No need of powerful hardware. Like for central server, there is no need of powerful hardware because every processing is done in the local machine by each individual developer. So there is no heavy lifting is required on the central server. Easier branching. So if you want to develop any feature, you can create easily the branch. This is just a pointer to your last snapshot in case of Git. But in case of centralized version control system, you have to copy the whole project. When you create a branch, it is copying whole project to the newer branch. So this is bit tedious and inefficient. So as we move ahead, we'll see how the different commands work and how you can achieve all these goals. So before that, we need to understand few terminologies so that it is easy to understand how Git works. First is local repository. It is nothing but the individual person who is doing the replica of the central repository. So this is the private workflows of every developer. He can do whatever he wants to do with the files, new addition, modification, renaming of file. So this is your local repository. Working directory, when you took the local repository as your as the replica of remote, you can check out to your directory and you can do the changes. So that is called as working directory, in which you are going to check out all the files. Staging area or index, this is nothing but a area where all the modified or new files are going to place. Then only Git will look into those files and that will be considered to be your addition in the Git repository. Unless you are adding to the staging area, Git will not able to recognize which files got changed, what are the changes, and we are not able to merge it or we are not able to push it in the Git repository. Commits hold the current state of the repository. What are the changes and all those that is being identified through commits. If you know the linked list concept, so this is nothing but commit object is like a node. So this is how we are going to track. The address will be like SHA1 ID. It will generate automatically when you commit any changes. Branches, I have already mentioned this. Any developer if wants to do any specific task like feature development, they can create their branch, do whatever the changes, and when they are ready, they can push those changes to the remote. And after review and the criteria got met, they can merge the changes to the parent branch, which is called master here. And after that, it is good to delete those branches to avoid overheads to the server and as well as your local machine. Pull, I have also already mentioned what is the pull operation. This is nothing but the copies of the changes from a remote repository to your local system in the local directory. Push operation is pushing your local changes to the remote repository. Tags are nothing but identification of version of your changes. So this is good to have a tagging mechanism in your project so that when you do the release, it will be easy to track each and every changes and which release contains what kind of fixes or what kind of feature. Clone is the mechanism of creating the instance of the repository in your local machine. Head is the pointer which signifies your latest commit. URL is nothing but your remote repository URL. So there are different mechanisms available, different tools available where you can place your project remotely so that everybody can work simultaneously in collaborative manner. So this is the URL you are going to use when you try to clone your project. So what is the basic workflow of Git? As I said, you need to first clone your project from the remote repository. Then you check out to your working directory, do whatever the changes you want to do. Then you add those changes to the staging area using commands and then commit it to the Git repository, a Git directory. So these are the steps what I have just told. These are the steps written here. Once you are done, you need to push the changes. And here it is in just a simple example how you are going to add the file and how you are commit. So this is the command. We'll discuss more detail in the subsequent slides. So how to set up your Git environment? So It is available for all the operating systems. If you have Linux, Mac and Windows, so these are the link I have provided. You can easily get those links from gitscm.com. Go to downloads and you can find whatever you want, or depending on your operating system, you can download that. So here I'm going to demonstrate on Windows. So I have already downloaded that, and the tool is Git Bash. I'm going to use that. So we have a lot of GUI tools are also available. You can get list of GUI tools by visiting this link. So I would recommend that you should use command line tool by using these links. Like I have mentioned here, like Git Bash I'm using for Windows, because command line tool will allow you to execute almost all the Git commands. So whereas if you use the GUI tool, it will restrict some of the commands, you cannot execute them. Before jumping into the Git commands, we can just have a overview of what is how to configure GitLab. GitLab is nothing but a it is a service to provide remote access to Git repositories. So companies or organization can use to provide internal management of Git repositories. You can use your own private GitLab account also to maintain your Git projects, so that it's not it is not a headache of storing everything in your local machine. You can put it in your GitLab account. So how to create it, I will show you the UI of GitLab. So I have GitLab account already created. So if you go into the gitlab.com site, so there are options here. You can, if you don't have a account already exist, you need to register it and you can create it. There are few steps for the verification of your email ID or mobile number, all those things. So after everything is done, when you are able to successfully logged in, so you'll get a page like this, and there you have an option like new projects, and you need to first create a project so that you can use the URL of that project and you can easily clone that into your local machine, so that no need to configure Git in your project repository. So if you click on new projects, create a blank project, so you'll get you can provide your project name here, whatever, my first project or something, and you can use your visibility level, private, public. So I will recommend, if you are starting from, so you can use the public part. Then you can enable this option so that a readme.md file is automatically created. This is nothing but your description of your project, whatever project you are going to create or going to enhance. So you can update in the readme.file and then create. You can click on create project. So after clicking this, you will get a window like this with your project name, whatever you have provided in this tab. So now you can go to your that project, and you can see this will be your view. So if you enable that readme.md, so it will automatically created here, and here you will get option like cloning of your project. So there are two options, SSH and HTTPS. So SSH is more secure, so it is nothing but your SSH key authentication between your machine and the GitLab, so that you can easily communicate with your local machine with GitLab in a secure manner. So after creation of that, you need to run the command git clone and your repository URL. So I have created here a repository folder called repo, and here I am going to do the cloning of. I'm just starting my git bash tool. And here I can run the command git clone, and this is your SSH. So I have already added my SSH key of my machine to that. So I will show you how to add the SSH key. So now I am able to I have cloned my fast project from GitLab, and these are the contents I got from that GitLab. So if you go into the GitLab, so here you can see the settings button. Click on settings, and here there is a part called SSH key, and here you need to add your SSH key of your machine. So how to generate your SSH key? It's nothing but there is a command called ssh-keygen. So after that you will get a file like this dot ssh idrsa dot pub. So this public file, you can get this file and copy the content of that file and simply paste it here, and then you can do the you can easily now communicate with your machine with GitLab. So similar the same thing I have done previously. So I was able to do the git clone of these. Now you can see, you can move to the project. So there are the two files, it's already available, this project. So now we'll go to the basic commands of Git. So before moving into, you can configure your username, email ID in the config file, so that whenever you are working on that, or whenever you are doing any changes and you push the changes, so your name will be visible, and that will also visible in the log history, so that it can be easily tracked who has done which changes and which commit belongs to which person. So that file is you can see git config panel. So these are the changes. These are the configuration file details. So you can edit any of these parameters according to your requirement. It's like you can give your email ID, name. You can change the color as well as URL. So there are a lot of options you can do. So the mandatory thing is like your email ID and name. Then we'll see what is the life cycle of Git. It's nothing but we have already, I guess, discussed. So this is the remote repository. You did the clone operation, what we did now, and this will be your working copy, and we checked out into that directory. Then you do the modification, addition, or whatever you want to change in your working copy, and then check the status or what is the difference, review it. If it is good to go, then you can commit and push the operation. In the meantime, if you thought that no, the push was wrong, there are some more changes, or there is some modification I need to do it, so you can amend the changes and again push the operation, fix the changes, and push the changes to your remote repository. So this is the basic life cycle of how Git works. Then comes tracked and untracked files. So tracked file is nothing but whenever you did clone operation from remote to your local, so all the files from remote to came to your local, and those files are already tracked by Git because these are come from your remote repository. Any file you did changes or modifications, those files are not tracked by Git unless you have added to the staging area. So to track those files and to know Git that these are the track files or these are the files I need to uh, add into the repository. So we need to add that to the staging area. So it's like any file in your working directory that were not in your last snapshot and are not in your staging area, those are called as untracked file. What is the last snapshot means? That is your last commit which Git knows. Okay. So as you edit file, Git sees them as modified because you have changed them since your last commit. As you work, you selectively stage these modified files and then commit all those stage changes and the cycle repeats. Now we'll see what are the basic Git commands. So we have already done this Git clone command and then we change to the directory. Now we'll go to see different commands. So so there are only two files available here. So I'm going to add a one more file. So I'm just going to add that file with open that file in vi editor like paste _1 dot txt, and I'm going to write something like this is my first change, and I have saved this. And now I'm going to see what changes I have done. So that is the status of my Git repository. So now you can see this is showing untracked files. This because we have recently changed this file, but Git doesn't know about this file. So how I'm going to add this file to the staging area? So this is the command. So before that, there is also a sort form of this. So this is also bit more clear about this, so that this is the new file and it is not been added into your staging area. So I'm going to add this file git add, and now if I see git status, so this is my new file. It is showing this is my new file. So if you want to restore, like I don't want to change the add this file in this current state, so you can run this command git restore and give the file name, so it will automatically become untracked. So after these changes, you need to commit these changes so that we'll get a identity of these changes. The command is git commit -m. M is nothing but your message. With this message, we were able to see in the history of the commit logs changes that this particular commit is for these changes. So this should be a meaningful message. So my first change. So now what it is saying, that this is your master branch. From this we have done the changes, and this is the change. I am adding this message, and one file is changed with one insertion, and this is the file name. So this is the commit detail, what I have done committed. And now I am going to push this file to the remote server. Git push, the command is git push origin and the branch name. So I'm currently working on master branch. So I'm just pushing these changes to the master. And if I go into the GitLab, see my first project. So if you see the update, so it is showing updated just now. If I open into this, I can see the test1.txt file, and if I open into this file, so this is my first change. I have pushed this file to the push the changes to the remote repository now. So now whoever the developers or team members have the access to this repository, they can easily see these changes from using the GitLab account. So what we have covered so far, so this we have covered git status -s I have shown you. So this was the observation of our file, that is new file and are not tracked, so we make them is tracked. And we added a git add file, so it is adding the file, and then we check that status. And yeah, this is the to see what are the changes we have done, like viewing your stage and on-stage changes, which changes you are going to push or not, so that we can see. So I'm just creating another file, s2 dot, or we can do one thing, open the same file, insert some more content in that. It's like this is my second change. Okay, and now I can see FNS. So now it is modified file. What is modified I can see. So this is now currently not in staged. So what is the diff? I have just changed only one file. What is the difference? So it is showing this is the difference. Okay, so this is my first change was the original one, and this I have added newly, which is in the plus sign. And if I am going to change anything in the existing line, like this is my, I will like you can see like the fast change. And if I see what is the diff, so you can see that this was my original line, and now I have changed this line to this, and this is my new another line. So this is the original line which now have changed to this. So now this will be removed, so which is minus, and these two new lines will be my new commit changes. So if I see the git status, so this is the modified. I need to add that file. Okay, and now I can see this file is now modified and it is in green, so it is means it is being added to the staging area. And now I can commit my changes, my second change, and then I can push the changes to remote. If I see in the GitLab, now I see two lines has been added and this first line was modified. Okay, this we have already covered, git commit fnm, so it will generate the your SHA1 key. This we have already covered. Now we can see what are the history of your project. So the command is git log. So now you can see this is the history of your changes what you have done. So this was the initial commit, Then I have done the changes, my first change, and this is the second change. So here you can see this is the commit, this is the SHA1 key. Every commit has different key so that it will be easily tracked. And this is the commit message what we have done. This is the date of commit, who has done, the author, its email ID, and which branch we have currently in. So there are different options to see the history, that is git log. If you want to see only 3 commits, you can see git log -3. So here I can see there are four commits I am seeing. If I say this, so there are only 3 commits I could see with this option. Okay. So these are the different commands of the command is git rm file name to remove the file, commit detail, git show, commit id. So this is the commit id. You can give the total or you can give first 6 values, I guess. Moving a file, so from one to other, like if you want to move a file from one directory to other directory, so you can give you can use this command git mb file name file from file 2. Then git fetch and git pull, like if you want to add the latest changes to your current repository, so you can use git pull command so that you will get the latest code in your local repository. The concept is like there are multiple developers working. So if you at a point A, if you started working in a feature and you are done with your work and you pushed your changes to the master, so at the same time another developer started working for feature B, so he or she needs to get the latest code in its local repository. So for that you can use git pull command so that you will get the latest code in your local machine. Git fetch is nothing but the similar kind of activity like git pull, but it will just simply store it in a separate place. Pushing to your remote repository, we already discussed on this how to push. So the command is git push your name of your remote, which is by default origin, and your branch name. So another important thing is git stash operation. So stash operation is nothing but suppose you're working in a feature, and in the meantime you got some production issue which needs to be solved on priority. So at that time you want that my changes which I am working on the current feature, I don't want to discard those changes. So you can use git stash command so that it will store your changes in a temporary stack, and then you check out to your master branch and do whatever fixes you need to do. It is your master branch or hot fix branch. You do whatever changes you are done. You're done with the production bug fixes. Then you move to your branch and you can apply your, you can resume from your feature code which we have developed last by using git stash apply command. So that it will be not rework to be done. So these are the different command: git stash, git stash list, git stash pop, git stash apply. So the left and the right hand side you can see what are the outputs. If you run this command, so you'll get output like this, and you can easily uh, so next is like git fix mistakes. Like if you see that I have done some changes, but that needs to be restored. So you simply need to reset your head, or you can simply discard that file, or you can simply use the restore command to change, not discard the complete file, but you can just previous changes, you can restore from the previous changes. It's nothing but the command is git checkout and file name. So if you see into this snapshot, we have like commit 1, commit 2, commit 3, and master is in commit 3. But we want that commit 3 is not required now. So I can simply do your git reset -fn hard and commit ID. So your master will now move to your commit 2, now shifted from commit 3 to commit 2. Git tagging, I have already discussed what is the purpose of tagging. So this is the command git tag add, how to create the tags like git tag -a and your meaningful version, whatever is decision of the management or the architecture or the team has decided. So they can provide this with your complete message, meaningful message, so that it can be tracked easily when you see the list of tags. Okay, if you want to add tags on letter phase, like since 1 year we have not done any kind of tagging, now we are thinking that our project needs to be tagged, so you can add depending on by seeing in your commit history, you can add your tags as well. So these are different options how to add tags. Okay, now comes the branching and merging. So branching is nothing but is the safe way of working. It's like by default Git has one branch called master, and second I can explain you. So if I see by default, so this is your master branch, and from this is your master branch, and from this developer wants to work on a feature, so this is your feature branch. And after you done your changes, you can now uh, merge this feature branch to this, your master branch. Merge. So this is the concept of branching actually. So it will help uh, to work collaboratively, because if you we don't want to pollute the master branch, and after completion of your feature development, that will be uh, whenever that will be completely tested, regression, unit test, all these things is done, then only you are going to merge it into your master. So this is the simplest way of doing the branching. But if you think in broader level, so there are different branching mechanisms, like you have a master branch, you have feature branch, you have hotfix branch, you have uh, release branch, you have one your uh, QA or UAT branch. So there are different branching mechanisms. So in our subsequent lectures, might be we can discuss detail on that. So what is the command to create the branch? So simply git branch and branch name. Then in after creation of that branch, you need to check out to the branch, and then do whatever the changes you want to do, and then the same process, add your changes, commit, push, and then finally merge command. So in the meantime, if you want that you have created a wrong branch, or after merging of that you need to delete the branch, so this is the command git branch -d. So -d will work only if your changes has been pushed and merged into your remote branch. And -D is your forceful delete of branch, so which is not recommended, but there are some circumstances where you can use -d command to forcefully delete. If you want to delete the branch from remote itself, so you can use git push origin -delete and branch name. You can rename your branch using -m command and give the old branch name and then new branch. And after that, this is the merge command, git merge and then branch name. You can easily merge that branch. So if I show you how to create the branch, so git branch testing. So this is the branch I have created. I'm going to create it. So before that, if you see which branch you are currently in, so this is the master branch with star. Then I'm going to create a testing branch. Now I can see the another branch called testing is created. Now git checkout the branch name. So now you can see this is your testing branch. If you now check what is the git branch, so you can see now I'm in testing branch. So here I can see all the files which are present in the master now present in the testing branch itself. Okay, so now it means I have the latest changes of master in this my current branch. If not, then before creating the branch, I need to use git pull, then then create your branch and then start your working. Okay. So now the concept of cherry picking. What is cherry picking? Cherry picking is nothing but your picking particular commits for the production or for the final release, or the example is like suppose a scenario like it is mentioned in this snapshot as well. So your master branch is having A, B, C, D commits, and a feature branch is having 3 commits E, F, G. So now we have decided that we'll do the final release or end of this sprint. I'm going to do some release, but I want to do only the commit F to be in the master. So this is the command I can use, git cherry pick. F is the commit ID, and now the master is A, B, C, D, F. I am dropping E and G. Okay, so this is the basic command like git cherry pick and then your commit ID. Just going to show you how you are going to create your GitLab account. So I am just gitlab.com. So when you open this site, so you will get options like register and sign in. So if you click register, you need to give all the details. Since I have already registered, so I am just going to log in. So after you log in, you will see this kind of UI, and you have option like creating new project. So create a blank project. Here you can give whatever your project name you want to see. You can give my first project, my uh, test project. If you want to give some description that you can give, which is optional, and I am just creating this as a public, and I'm creating this readme file, which is nothing but a file which describes about your project. Now simply create project. So this is the project I have created, my test project, and here you can see uh, different properties of this project, who has created this. This is a readme.md file. I have enabled that, and here you can see the clone option. By using this URL, you can easily clone this project in your local machine. So by this way you will get the complete replica of the project in your local machine. So there are two ways how to clone it. So this is through SSH and through HTTPS. So I'd recommend to use SSH because this is more secure. So before doing this, you need to just add your machine's SSH key, public SSH key, into your account. So how you will do that? Go to the settings, and here you have option to add SSH keys. You can add your SSH key here. Okay. So how you are going to do that? So here I'm using git bash here. Okay. You can do SSH hyphen keygen. So simply do the enter. So you'll get the SSH key. So this is the path where I got the SSH key. So you simply open this file. You got this key. You simply copy this and add it in your account. Remember, this also should be there in your key, and add key. So now we have added this key, and now I'm going to do git clone and the cloning path of my project. So I have created my test project. Go to this and copy this URL and paste it. So you are done with your cloning of this project. Now we can see in the directory I got my test project, and here I got the readme.md file. So now I'm good to go with my changes, and finally after the changes I can push the code. So there's a list of command which we have gone through in this webinar, so you can try it your own. So this is all for this webinar. So you have any questions or doubts, then let us know, and you can also visit our site edevopsguru.com, and you can put your comments, you can put your queries there. We will happy to answer your queries.